Don't mind me saying, aren't you just explaining very articulately why Israel has got so twitchy about this? Gone from 3% to 60%, as you said. That's not a small...
But who did that, right? But the whole
you can blame who you like.
Property.
You can blame who you like, but the way you described that sounded to me like you were presenting a fast-moving, imminent threat.
No. Okay, it's a good question. Let me answer it. No, what I was presenting was that there was a deal that worked. Trump and the Israelis tore up the deal that worked. Now Iran is definitely, you and I have already agreed, that they have potential to be closer to a bomb today than they were in 2018. So the solution is not then to go to war and increase the chances of Iran rushing for a bomb. The solution is to go back into a deal, to negotiate an agreement. Piers, just for your viewers, there are only two ways. Every military expert agrees, every US general agrees. There's only two ways to stop Iran from having a nuclear bomb. Number one is to invade and occupy the country and destroy every facility yourself. Number two is to have an agreement in which Iran agrees to stop enriching uranium at 60% or 90%, right? Those are the two options.
Actually, I don't agree with that.
If other people prefer invasion,
there's actually a third option, because
what's the third option? What is it?
Well, the third option is doing exactly what Israel's doing now, which is using air power.
No.
Controlling the skies over Tehran and using intelligence gathered by Mossad, apparently, reportedly, and using specific intelligence to target specific commanders, scientists, and nuclear sites. I mean, that's the third option.
Well, that's not a third option because it doesn't stop the nuclear program. All it does is delay it. And in fact,
have you spoken to any military people? Be honest, Mehdi. Have you spoken to any military? I've got two former British Army colonels in my family. I ran this past them earlier. Both of them thought this was justified, right? Who are the military commanders you've talked to who do not think this is justified?
Admiral Mike McMullen, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under George W. Bush, said there's no way you can get rid of Iranian nuclear program without boots on the ground. And by the way, you know who said on Friday? Israel's own national security advisor said on Friday, there is no kinetic solution to this. Air power cannot do this, right? Because some of their facilities are underground. Because scientists who killed can be replaced, right? You cannot end Iran's nuclear program via bombing. And by the way, Israel tried this before in 1981. They always hold it up as some great example. They bombed Saddam's nuclear facility in Osirak. Everyone who's studied that since, nuclear scientists, weapons experts, say that actually that didn't delay Saddam's bomb. It accelerated Saddam's interest in nuclear weapons. He actually launched a covert nuclear program at another site over the next 9 years till obviously the Iraq invasion of Kuwait, right? So put yourself, Piers, you asked me a question at the beginning. It was a great question. Put yourself in Israel's shoes. We should always have empathy for whoever it is, enemies, allies. Let me ask the question back to you. Put yourself in the shoes of an Iranian official sitting in Tehran today who looks at a map of the region and sees Israel with nukes, Russia with nukes, Pakistan with nukes, India with nukes, nuclear-armed America next door in Iraq. Wouldn't you want nuclear weapons? I'm against nukes.
Yeah, but if you're the regime, but Mehdi,
if you look at,
but Mehdi, you wouldn't dispute.
Would you not think it's rational to have nukes?
My response would be this: you wouldn't dispute that Iran's tentacles had been fueling for a long period of time Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and I presume you wouldn't also dispute that the tactical attack on Hezbollah through the pages, 3,000 of them targeted in a very precise way, that has led to Hezbollah basically throwing the towel in and saying we're not going to get engaged in this war with Iran, which is a very significant moment in this whole war, I would argue.
If your question is, has Israel degraded Iran's supports abroad, its proxies, 100%. But that's irrelevant to the rightness or wrongness of this. I'm asking you to put yourself in the position.
But all those proxies want to kill Israelis, government, right? So that's why I think that Israel has a right.
Let's not get... Well, as you've agreed, Israel's doing much of the killing right now. But let me just ask you this. Again, Ukraine gave up nukes, got invaded. Saddam Hussein gave up nukes, got invaded and executed. Gaddafi gave up chemical weapons, got invaded, raped and killed. Again, if you're the Iranians, are you not looking at this thinking, this means we need nukes? I would rather not give them an incentive to go get nuclear weapons. I'm anti-nuclear weapons for anyone. So I don't want Iran to have nukes. But the best way for Iran not to have nukes is not to attack them. That makes countries want to have nukes more. It's just rational to go, oh, the countries who have nukes like North Korea, they don't get invaded. So why give them an incentive to get more nukes? Why not actually have a weapons of mass destruction-free region? You know which country does have nukes in the Middle East? Israel, in violation of UN Security Council resolutions. You know which country doesn't allow IAEA inspectors into the country? Israel. You know which country hasn't signed the NPT, unlike Iran? Israel. We should talk about Israel's nuclear weapons, which actually incentivize others in the regions, not just Israel, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, to think about nuclear weapons of their own. I'd rather not have more nukes in the Middle East with anyone.
Mehdi Hasan, great to have you back on Uncensored. Thank you very much.